In the news tonight, Ministry investigates leak of surgery pictures. Violence spikes amid lockdowns. And additional measures for businesses.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nana.
Bulawanaka, Fiji. The Ministry of Health is investigating how pictures of body parts were taken inside an operating theatre and loaded on social media. It concerns a woman whose arm was allegedly severed by her husband in Nandi over the weekend. Apanisa Wangai Randovo reports the patient was later transferred to the Colonial War Memorial Hospital in Suva, where she remains admitted. No new cases of COVID-19 were received as at 6 a.m. today. However, with tests running around the clock, this may have changed. On a related matter, more testing equipment is being received. Lena Rees joins us live now. Lena, Australia has reassured its support to Fiji's COVID-19 response efforts. What's the latest development?
The Australian government confirms that it will supply Fiji with 30,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, and as well as a PCR testing machine that arrives in the country tonight. For the 20,000 will be, 30,000 doses of the vaccine will arrive on Saturday. Now, this is part of Australia's commitment to provide Fiji with 1,000 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. And with a PCR testing machine, this will increase Fiji's testing capacity in light of the number of tests that are run daily. Now, Australia maintains that they always stand ready to help Fiji. Edwin.
Lena, swabs have been sent for tests in Australia. How many have been sent, and what does this mean for Fiji?
7,000 of swab samples were sent to Australia today for testing, with 4,000 more to be sent on Saturday. Now, the Ministry of Health says that the lifting of restrictions in specific lockdown areas will be determined as results become available, and also decisions about the containment areas will also await results of the backlog of tests. The ministry adds that it has no new cases as of 6 this morning, but they will be providing regular updates. They've also said that as it stands, there are currently 57 active cases in isolation. Edwin.
Nakalina. Now, the Ministry of Health's vaccination plan for the next round includes taking vaccines to Fijians through mobile units. Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, says this will ensure that all Fijians are are able to access the vaccine without having to travel far or waiting in queues. This as Fiji now has more vaccines through COVAX and will receive further deliveries from Australia and New Zealand later this week. By the end of the week, Fiji will have about 86,000 doses. Dr. Fong says for further convenience to the public, the ministry will also have drive-through vaccination sites. The locations of the mobile vaccination teams will be announced early next week. The priority for the ministry will be to provide first dose inoculation to the rest of the frontline workers and also complete the vaccination process for those who've already received their first dose. The Fiji Women's Crisis Centre is recording cases of extreme violence against women as people grapple with the impacts of the pandemic. Within the first 3 weeks of the initial lockdown, the FWCC received 300 calls, with 70% related to gender-based violence. Vitika Pratap reports.
Violence against women spikes during lockdowns, but the FWCC is shocked by the severity of the attacks.
You know, chasing the woman on horseback with a whip and things like that, really extreme kind. Then we have a lot of emotional violence, verbal abuse, and so on. We're seeing coercive control, whereby he's timing her, how long does she take to do a certain task and things like that. We also have cases of the woman being chased out of the house, several cases like that. Marital rape is also increasing.
Ali says this time around the NGO was prepared and was able to jump into action to try and help victims.
We were much faster than we were last year, because last year we were in the planning stage. And so all the advertisements have gone out. You will see that on social media, on regular media, and so on.
I believe that there is a trend and an increase in gender-based violence-related issues that are coming up from our societies, and keeping in recent case in mind, it seems like it is becoming a little bit more severe day by day.
While reports have emerged from around the country, The majority of cases are in Nendi, Lautoka, Suva and Nosori containment zones. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Mandatory minimum parameters have been set for safely operating essential businesses during the pandemic. The Ministry of Commerce says any person who refuses or neglects to comply commits an offence and is liable to a $10,000 fine or imprisonment of up to 5 years under the Public Health Act. Kritika Kumar reports.
The protocols apply to essential industries only because high-risk businesses remain closed.
Only essential business at the moment in the containment areas. So these are related to, like the PS of Health has said, movement of fuel, food and freight, and businesses that are supporting these essential businesses.
There are more than 18 non-negotiable requirements, which means traders are legally bounded to comply. Some of the key ones including wearing personal protective equipment at all times, hand-washing facilities, Care Fiji and Bluetooth is mandatory. Operators must also have an isolation room for suspected COVID-19 cases and provide transport for employees to get to work and home.
I urge businesses not to begin this process with a temporary timeline in mind. Normal has a new definition. The world has adapted to cater for the risk of coronavirus, so must we.
The protocols are designed to ensure zero to minimal risk when continuing essential services and may be subject to review. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Up ahead, more than 22,000 food packs distributed. And arrests for stoning a house. Welcome back. Inaccessibility to medical supplies, vulnerability to COVID-19 and a lack of assistance are only some of the challenges faced by people living with disabilities. Disabled People's Federation manager Lanieta Tuimambu says they are working with various organizations to help address these issues. Sainya Nimboila reports.
Setting up containment areas is the best way to contain COVID-19, but for people with disabilities, it presents new challenges.
We would like to reach out to persons with disability, but we are challenged by the restrictions of movement, other safety challenges, and the fear of of the virus, and then also with our support services, some of us would need to take along our personal assistant or our carers.
Tuimambu says they are liaising with the Health Ministry and other organizations on the way forward.
Just providing the PPEs, protective personal equipments like masks and hand sanitizers, soaps and those kind of things to persons with disability.
She says the drive-through vaccination site, as proposed by the ministry, will be of great help.
It'll be interesting to hear how they will roll out that and how they are considering the other needs of persons with disability.
The Federation is also working to ensure that caregivers are provided with resources needed during this pandemic. Sainya Nimboila, FBC News.
More than 22,000 food ration packs have been distributed to households in the Suva Nosori containment area. Ministry for Economy Coordinator Kamal Gounder says distribution for the lockdown areas ended yesterday. Distribution included those in home isolation and cordoned off areas. 15,381 packs were distributed in the last 4 days, 4,250 during the earlier lockdown, and 2,500 packs to those households in isolation. The ministry says they will continue distributing ration to families in isolation and quarantined areas. The sheer magnitude of the effects of COVID-19 has also affected counsellors for Empower Pacific. They are part of frontline workers providing psychological and mental support for Fijians affected by the pandemic. Josiah Nanunga reports a psychological health and safety bubble has been created for these counsellors in case they need support.
Empower Pacific's safety bubble has created an environment of open dialogue to reduce stress and anxiety among the team.
If they need access to external mental health and psychosocial support services, we are very happy to organize external counseling sessions for our staff from a trusted organization or a person that we have dealt with before.
Singh says they are dealing with the situation well, using tried and tested strategies to address burnout.
At this time, we are also one of those people that are also affected as well, because we are human at the end of the day. And we also have our families to cater for, and then work has actually amplified, it has intensified as well as amplified.
Among frontline workers, the Fiji Police Force is also ensuring its officers are provided with psychological support to manage difficult situations.
We are continuing making awareness within amongst our police officers themselves. You know that the work is very stressful, and also we are encouraging our commanders on the ground to map out the rest cycle for our police officers.
Singh says they will continue to providing essential support services remotely, targeting people battling mental stress as well as victims of social issues. Chosayenanunga, FBC News.
6 men are currently being questioned by police about the alleged assault and stoning of a house in Korovo on Tuesday night. The incident that was captured in a video is circulating on social media. It's alleged the 6 who were heavily intoxicated were throwing stones at a house belonging to a 19-year-old man and allegedly assaulted a member of the family. Police are still looking for 2 suspects who were part of the group. Investigations are ongoing. 3 families living in Baulevu, just outside Nosori, are concerned about safety following a soil erosion next to their homes, which has caused them to take extra precautions. Farmer Sunil Kumar says continuous heavy rain since last night has caused soil erosion that is affecting residents' homes. Kumar says there are 15 people living in the 5-block premises and they've begun moving as a precaution. The 47-year-old says they have contacted relevant authorities as they're worried that the situation may worsen with more rain.
We are all frightened now because half of the part of the mud has already come. The other half is still hanging there. And at the moment how the rain is going on, we all are frightened. Actually, I have told everybody to just move in front. All the kitchen, everything, the groceries, everything, the clothes, we have moved closer at the front part of the house.
Coming up in world news, talks of a truce between Israel and Hamas. And EU relaxes travel restrictions.
In light of the continued movement restrictions, Fiji Airways and FijiLink have extended their flight cancellations. All domestic FijiLink passenger flights have been cancelled until May 30th. All international Fiji Airways passenger repatriation flights in and out of Fiji have also been cancelled until May 30th. Fiji Airways says dedicated freighter services will continue to ensure vital export and import supply chains for Fiji remain intact. Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. Our dollar declined against the rising US greenback as well as the other international currencies we cover. However, as usual, when it slips against the greenback, the Sangamoli rose against the currencies of our 2 major trading partners, the Aussie and Kiwi dollars. Prices on the commodities market were mixed. Crude oil dropped the dollar at $63 a barrel. Gold rose a few dollars to $1,873 per ounce. And silver closed down at $27.64 per ounce. And we now join Sanifa from HFC Bank to give us the latest Aussie and Kiwi figures from the money markets.
Good evening. In the latest news, Australia's unemployment rate came in at 5.5% against a forecast 5.6% today. It's now 0.2 percentage points above the start of the pandemic, but 2.0 percentage point below its peak in July 2020. New Zealand has released its 2021 budget, and following a severe recession in 2020, the Kiwi economy is expected to expand by 2.9% this year, accelerating to 4.4% in 2023. The Treasury predicts unemployment rates will fall to 4.2% by 2025, noting a shrinking deficit and lower than expected levels of debt. Meanwhile, the US dollar gained a bit of momentum after the release of the minutes from the US Federal Reserve's April policy meeting. According to the minutes, a number of Fed officials appeared ready to consider changes to the monetary policy based on a continued strong economic recovery. However, data since then may have already changed the landscape. The Fed's June policy meeting will be a key event for traders when it will provide projections for growth, inflation, unemployment, and the appropriate path for their overnight interest rate. That's all for now from your HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Tokariki Island Resort has received several accolades in TripAdvisor's 2021 Traveler's Choice Best of the Best Awards. It's the only local hotel voted in the top 25 in the world and #1 in the top 25 hotels in the South Pacific. It's also been selected 5th for romance hotels in the region. Tokariki has been awarded top awards by TripAdvisor consistently over the past 7 years. General Manager Robert Ring says this is testament to the incredible team striving for guests to have a relaxing, romantic, refined, and memorable experience. And that is the latest from my end, but coming up after the break, Fijian represents Pacific on international platform. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Ernest Gibson has become the first Fijian and Pacific Islander to join the Earthshot Prize Council this week. Christiana Uluwai reports this is a program that promotes environment protection, and Gibson is now representing the Pacific.
Gibson says he will adopt solution-driven activism with Earthshot Prize and lobby for polluters to accept their wrongs.
The narrative that I'll be championing is a narrative that nobody in the Pacific has ever accepted. Is that nobody has ever accepted the narrative that Pacific Islanders are victims.
The 24-year-old says climate diplomacy should never be lost, no matter the status of the person you're engaging with.
I would say don't worry about how many Instagram followers the people you're talking to have. Just ensure that you're contributing as authentically as possible to that conversation.
Prince William, who is also on the council, says he is elated by Gibson's nomination and acceptance.
It's fantastic having someone from, an island nation, where obviously a lot of the effects will be felt by you guys more than others.
Launched in October 2020, the Earthshot Prize is a global environmental award to discover and scale solutions in the areas of waste, oceans, air pollution, nature and climate. Christiana Uluwai, FBC News.
Being the only breadwinner in the family, 30-year-old Sujata Chand pushes herself to work every day and put food on the table. Chand, a restaurant supervisor at a Wishbone outlet, says she is lucky to still have a job while thousands are unemployed and have no source of income. Jeshulal reports Chand's greatest strengths are her 2 children, and she believes no job is big or small.
Chand dreamt of being a doctor, but instead worked her way up at a fast food outlet, now the only one earning in her family.
There are financial challenges in our life. My husband is a taxi driver, and so at the moment he's not working. So only my household is being run by my salary.
Chand says she was criticized for not chasing high ambitions, but for her what matters is being able to care for her children.
Behind every dark tunnel there is a light. So I always encourage them, no matter how big or small your job is your job.
She leads a simple life, but that doesn't mean she can't inspire her children to aim high.
I always tell them, no matter what happens in life, you don't put yourself back. You always strive.
This working mother hopes to open up her own restaurant one day and fulfill her daughter's dreams. Jeshulal, FBC News.
Now, domestic violence cases coming forward are quite alarming. In our Q&A tonight, we speak with the Fiji Women's Crisis Centre Coordinator, Shamima Ali.
Ms. Ali, just regarding the lockdown period that we are in for almost like a month now, what are some of the kind of cases the Fiji Women's Crisis Centre has been dealing with?
The perpetrator is now inside the house. He's lost his job, or during lockdowns you just can't go out anywhere, and so on. And the social isolation, the keeping in your own bubble, that enables the perpetrating men to be inside the house all the time. So we are seeing that escalation in violence, chasing the woman on horseback with a whip and things like that, really extreme kind. Marital rape is also increasing.
Just in 30 days, do you have a statistics like how many cases you've recorded, especially from women and girls?
Nearly 300 cases. And there's other things also involved in there, she's lost her job. She needs to do groceries. She needs to bring groceries in. Husband has lost his job. Women who are already separated from their husbands. So when I'm talking about 300, it's also that. But the majority, about 70% of the calls are for domestic violence.
So these calls are basically from just the containment areas or lockdown areas, or throughout the country?
They're also throughout the countries, but the centers that are seeing the most are Nandi, our Nandi Crisis Center, and the SUVA, the headquarters, Fiji Women's Crisis Center. So these two centers, and that's to be expected because these are where the containment areas are. And the SUVA has gone through 2 lockdowns, total lockdown.
And now we join Jamie for the latest in sports. The Fiji Sevens is at a disadvantage compared to other teams who have stepped up preparations for the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. Due to the restrictions, the national squad can't train together and players have been tasked with following individual programs. On the other hand, Australia and the All Black Sevens will play 6 games from tomorrow to Sunday as they prepare to stake their claim on the next Olympic Sevens gold. Aquila Dama has more.
They can't train together, and our only hope now for some competitive matches will be the Oceania Sevens in Australia, if the team can travel.
Once relaxation are given, then we will plan accordingly on how to prepare. As we look forward to participating in the Oceania Sevens tournament in Brisbane in June, but all that depends on the restrictions that are in place there.
While Fiji will have to work even harder to defend its gold medal, teams like Kenya and South Africa are putting in final touches before naming their Olympic squads.
There's 2 opportunities for us, not just team selection, but one or 2 things in our game plan that we want to see whether it's going to come off or not.
Fiji has 67 more days to prepare before the Olympic Games, which starts on 23rd July. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
The Fiji volleyball family is in mourning following the loss of one of its most dedicated and longest-serving administrators, Ratu Ilyasa Raketekete, who was a coach, trainer, games commissioner and referees commissioner for Fiji volleyball in the Suva Volleyball Association, has left behind a legacy of commitment to developing the sport in Fiji. Venina Rakautonga with this report.
Today we're having
a man that will always be remembered for his significant contribution to the growth of volleyball in Fiji.
We will miss him a lot. He played a very instrumental role in revamping Suva again for the last 2 seasons. We ended the second season well. We had lift up the game to a certain level.
Raiwanga Volleyball President Francis Lenyon says Raketekete poured his heart into the sport since the early 80s.
We started to form the Fiji Volleyball Association referees. That's where I came to really see his effort in trying to lead this game. And
Oceania Volleyball Federation and its partners have also sent condolences to his family. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
For someone who grew up playing basketball all her life, Makareta Wondo never imagined seeing herself playing touch rugby on the international stage. But the 30-year-old was introduced to the sport 3 years ago
and hasn't looked back ever since. Karlaini Tavi reports.
Since taking up the sport, Makereta Vondo has gone on to represent Fiji in the Touch Rugby World Cup and also the Pacific Games.
One of my highlight moments at the Pacific Games was winning the bronze medal. That would be the first for women's team. Even though we won the bronze, for me personally, I felt like we were winning the gold.
Securing a spot in the next Pacific Games will be harder for Vondo, looking at the level of competition during the franchise meet earlier this year.
I hope to represent Fiji again, but right now it's going to be much more tougher than it was before. There's a lot more competition, a lot more interested girls, and so I'll really have to earn my spot. But
Touch Federation Fiji has big plans for players like Vondo as they prepare for the 2023 Pacific Games.
We are very happy that the competition has unraveled this pool of talent as we build up towards 2023.
Vondo played alongside Suva fly half Anile Malele in the 2019 World Cup held in Malaysia, where Fiji was knocked out in the pool stages. Karlini Tavi, FBC Sports.
The Ministry of Environment is still waiting for a statement from the witness who filmed suspended Fiji football referees director Rakesh Varman after he allegedly dumped rubbish on a beach in Singatoka. Permanent Secretary for Environment Joshua Wycliffe says investigations are in the early stages and that officers in charge of the case are still in the process of speaking to the witness.
We've initiated an investigation. The officers in charge have opened a file and they will be pursuing the procedures that are required under the law. I am not sure if at this stage they have been able to speak to the witnesses. I understand they were going to speak.
Liverpool has now moved into the Premier League top four following its 3-0 win over Burnley this morning. The International Olympic Committee reassured an anxious Japan that the Tokyo Olympics would be safe for athletes as well as the host community. This despite the fact that less than 4% of Japan's 126 million people have received their first dose of vaccination, which is the lowest rate among developed nations. In today's Play of the Day, Jesse Lingard and Mikel Antonio teaming up to ensure West Ham are closer to European Champions League return after they came from behind to beat relegated West Brom 3-1 in the English Premier League this morning. In our quirky Sport of the Day, extreme ironing. If you think that sounds weird, you're absolutely right. That's it from Sports Tonight. Up ahead in Weird and Wonderful, hiding snacks in the middle of a pandemic. This and more coming up.
Showers and thunderstorms were experienced over most places. In the west, cloudy periods with afternoon or evening showers and isolated thunderstorms, showers becoming frequent from tonight. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, similar conditions prevail today. In the north, no major change. At sea for southwest Viti Levu waters, Kandavu Passage, southern Koro Sea and southern Lao waters, easterly winds 20 to 25 knots, rough seas, moderate southerly swells, poor visibility in areas of heavy showers and thunderstorms. The next high tide is at 1:37 a.m. tomorrow with low tide at 7:30 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:29. The outlook for tomorrow, cloudy periods with afternoon or evening showers and isolated thunderstorms. Showers becoming frequent from tonight. Isolated heavy falls may lead to flash flooding of low-lying areas. For Saturday, cloudy periods with some showers over Kandavu, Tavyuni, Lomaiviti and Lao Group, the northern parts and the interior of the two main islands. Elsewhere, fine apart from afternoon or evening showers and possible thunderstorms. And in Weird and Wonderful, a study in the United States has found that some Americans hide snacks enough to last them for 6 months. Not just a quick bite, but actual meals 3 times a day. Now recapping our main stories, one new case of COVID-19 confirmed in the last 24 hours. Ministry investigates leak of surgery pictures and violence spikes amid lockdown. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we are asking, has the Suva Nosori curfew helped contain COVID-19? Visit our FBC News website to answer. And you can also send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our social media accounts, including Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also download our FBC app to keep updated with the very latest in news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modemanda.